The sound of tearing paper ripped through the luxurious stillness of the first-class cabin, like a blade slicing the air. Rachel Burns, the blonde-haired flight attendant, coldly tore Maya Thompson's ticket in half and said with a sneer, "This seat is not for you." Maya stood frozen under the silver lights, shining down on row 2. Her navy blazer still carried the faint scent of New York winds, her neatly tied hair framing a calm face. Her heart beat slow and steady, but to the passengers around her, she was nothing more than a black woman, dressed simply, daring to step into a place she supposedly did not belong. A smirk curved on the lips of Linda Rowe, a sharp-witted businesswoman in a cream-colored designer suit, her luxury handbag perched on the armrest. Linda leaned forward, her voice slicing cold as ice. "Seat 2A by the window is mine. I always book it. Someone like you belongs in the back." The cabin held its breath. Crystal glasses trembled lightly in passengers' hands. A middle-aged man whispered to his wife, while another woman discreetly lifted her phone to snap a photo. The collective gaze, curious yet judgmental, fell upon Maya like a courtroom that needed no lawyer. Rachel held the torn ticket, her voice laced with forced politeness, but her eyes full of disdain. "Please return to economy. This section is for first-class passengers." Maya did not back down. She held out the remains of her ticket, her voice calm yet firm. "I know very well I am in seat 2A. Her hand trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the memories pressing against her chest. She remembered being 15, staring into the eyes of a teacher who told her, "Girls like you will never make it to college. Find simple work before your dreams crush you." She remembered nights in a cramped Newark apartment, tapping code into a second-hand laptop under the light of a borrowed desk lamp, determined to break free from the cycle of poverty. Every insult had become her armor, and now, in the golden glow of the cabin, that armor gleamed quietly. Linda let out a dry laugh, leaning back as if watching a comedy. "This isn't a charity flight. Who even let you in here?" Rachel's fake chuckle followed quickly. "Just a misunderstanding. We'll take care of it." "A misunderstanding?" Linda raised her voice deliberately so the entire cabin could hear. "She looks more like a security risk to me." A wave of murmurs rippled through the air. A man shook his head with a soft chuckle. A young woman pulled her scarf tighter, avoiding Maya's eyes. Among the stares were annoyance, silent complicity, and the eager anticipation of seeing someone undeserving fall. Maya swallowed down the anger burning in her chest. She remained upright, her dark eyes glinting with steel. "I paid for this seat. I have every right to be here." Rachel stepped closer, her voice dropping into a threatening tone. "You are disturbing the peace. If you do not leave, I will call security." At the end of the row, Ethan Price, a 26th year, old in a simple hoodie, raised his phone, the lens quietly recording every moment. He did not intervene, only observed, his brow furrowed. He had seen scenes like this before, but this time he refused to let it pass unnoticed. Near the cabin divider, Sophia Alvarez, a senior executive of Starfly, stood half hidden in shadow. Her name badge glinted as she tilted her head, meeting Maya's gaze. A subtle nod, almost imperceptible. Maya exhaled softly, then tapped her smartwatch. One touch, one discreet signal, and somewhere deep beneath the airport, the airline's internal systems lit up. Linda remained oblivious, inspecting her manicured nails and muttering, "Such a waste of time." Rachel placed her hand on Maya's shoulder, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "You need to leave." Maya did not move. Her voice was low yet clear, slicing through the charade like a blade. "This moment, you will never forget." Rachel scoffed. "What, you'll write a bad review?" Maya replied, each word sharp like a prophecy. "No, I will write your future." Rachel's smile froze, a flicker of unease crossing her face. Linda rolled her eyes, mocking loudly. "Sounds like a threat. Who do you think you are?" Ethan pressed harder on his record button, his heart pounding faster. He still did not know who Maya Thompson truly was. But her unyielding posture, her calm in the face of scorn, it made him believe that what came next would be beyond imagination. And he was right. In just a few minutes, the world would learn that the woman whose ticket had been torn was not a misplaced passenger, but someone who held in her hands the power to shake an entire airline to its core. Silver light from the cabin ceiling reflected off the polished leather armrests, where champagne glasses sparkled beside designer handbags. The air seemed calm, yet every word poured onto Maya Thompson felt like a needle piercing her skin. Rachel still stood firmly in front of her, eyes cold, lips pressed together as if delivering a final verdict. Linda Rowe leaned back with her arms crossed, her voice sharp and clipped. "Stop disturbing this cabin. We need peace here." The whispers spread quickly like a passing breeze. A man leaned close to his wife and murmured, "Who does she think she is?" Another woman lifted a magazine to cover half her face, but the lens of her phone peeked out from behind the glossy page. Maya stood motionless, shoulders straight as a blade. But inside, old memories surged, the times she had been pushed out of doors deemed not for her. At 17, she sat for a scholarship interview at a prestigious school. The silver-haired professor glanced at her file and smirked. "You're talented, but this school isn't for someone like you." The words cut deep, leaving a scar that never faded. And now, in this first-class cabin, Maya saw that same look, the look that had once tried to define her life. Rachel flicked the torn ticket with her finger, her voice sharp as ice. "It seems you don't understand. Seat 2A is not yours. Leave immediately." A faint click echoed from the back of the cabin. Ethan Price was still filming. His eyes carried no pity, only recognition. He had seen this script before. The powerless being forced from the place they rightfully earned. But something inside him urged, "Don't look away this time." Linda sighed and shook her head. This type is always the same, always demanding fairness when they never belonged here in the first place. A faint smile tugged at Maya's lips, not out of amusement, but out of familiarity. Slowly, she replied, her voice steady, each word dropping like a stone into still water. "I am not asking for more than anyone else. I am asking only for what I already paid for." Rachel laughed, but the sound rang hollow in the cabin, tension rippling like an undercurrent. Near the cabin divider, Sofia Alvarez kept her quiet watch. Her hand rested on a tablet hidden beneath her blazer. When her eyes met Maya's again, she tilted her head slightly. A silent message. Hold steady. I am here. Maya inhaled slowly. Her fingers brushed against her smartwatch, a subtle tap. And deep below the airport, Starfly's internal systems stirred awake. Encrypted messages began flowing quietly through the network. No one in the cabin noticed. Linda still twisted her diamond ring under the lights. Rachel still stood tall like a frozen guard. But Maya knew this circle of intimidation was about to explode. The sound of phone cameras grew sharper. A female passenger pretended to read her magazine, but her hand trembled as she snapped the photo of Rachel tearing the ticket. From behind, a murmur rose. They'd never do this to a white man. Maya heard it clearly, and her heart clenched, not for herself, but for the painful truth it carried. Rachel stepped closer, voice dropping to a near whisper. Don't try to act powerful. Here, you are nothing. Maya lifted her head, her deep eyes flashing with light. You're wrong. Today, you will learn exactly who I am. For a moment, time seemed to slow. Linda smirked with disdain. Rachel stepped back slightly, unsettled by the certainty in Maya's tone. Ethan gripped his phone tighter, heart pounding. In the shadows, Sophia's hand hovered, ready to send the second signal. The sound of high heels striking the floor grew louder from the front, announcing a new arrival. A figure carrying the weight of authority was about to enter, prepared to deliver what seemed like the final judgment on Maya. But none of them knew. The very balance of power had already begun to shift. The sound of footsteps, striking the thick carpet, echoed like the drumbeat of an oncoming storm. The cabin door swung open. A tall man in a grey suit stepped in, the Starfly insignia gleaming on his lapel. His square jaw, rigid demeanor, and forced smile were the marks of someone more accustomed to imposing authority than to understanding. Victor Grant, Regional Director of Operations, a man with the power to expel anyone from this plane. His eyes swept the cabin, pausing on the passengers who held their breath, and then fixed on Maya Thompson. That look carried a bitter familiarity. The same look Maya had known her entire life, one that judged, diminished, and dismissed. Rachel rushed forward, her voice flustered yet brimming with triumph. There she is, causing trouble, refusing to leave her seat, disturbing a VIP passenger. Linda Rowe chimed in, her tone sharp, adding fuel to the fire. I've reserved this window seat for years. She tore her ticket, fumbled around with no idea where she belonged. Clearly, an imposter. Victor frowned and gave a curt nod. His manner was that of a judge, merely waiting for enough excuse to hand down a sentence. Do you have proof of payment? Maya held up her phone, opening the email confirmation from weeks ago, clearly showing seat 2A. She raised the screen in front of Victor's eyes. Here, this is my seat. Non-refundable, non-transferable, booked directly through the system. He glanced briefly before jerking his chin, not even bothering to read carefully. We'll sort this out later. For now, you must leave the plane. If you refuse, I will issue a permanent ban from Starfly. A surge of fury welled inside Maya, but her voice remained calm, sharp as ice. You are siding with a woman accusing me of stealing a ticket without a shred of evidence beyond her words. Linda smirked, clutching her luxury handbag as if it were a weapon. As Victor tilted his head, Maya caught the subtle movement of Linda's hand, slipping a thick envelope into his palm. The exchange was discreet, but not discreet enough to escape Ethan's lens. His phone camera zoomed in, capturing Victor sliding the envelope into a stack of brochures, his face cold as though it were nothing more than routine. "You will leave this plane now," Victor pressed, his tone menacing. "Don't force me to call security." Rachel stood at his side, a crooked smile spreading across her face. Linda nodded, satisfied, as if victory in a rigged game had already been secured. But Maya quietly raised her wrist, her finger brushing the screen of her smartwatch. Sofia Alvarez, still half, hidden in the shadows of the cabin, caught the signal. On her tablet, a green dot turned blood red. The system began recording every word, the audio transmitted silently into the internal channel. Victor reached out, gripping Maya's elbow, his hold firm enough to leave a bruise. He leaned in, lowering his voice but keeping the weight of intimidation. "Don't be foolish, accept it. Here, you are nothing." Maya shifted her wrist slightly, bringing the watch closer to his lapel. Her voice dropped to a whisper, yet it rang clear into the hidden microphone. "You just broke the law, and I advise you to be careful with your next words." Victor scoffed, shaking his head with a dismissive laugh. "What do you think you'll do? Write a bad review?" Maya tilted her head, her eyes sharp as a blade. "No, I will write your future." Linda laughed openly now, dripping with contempt. "How terrifying. She thinks she's a queen." From the back, Ethan gripped his phone tighter, heart racing. He didn't know who Maya truly was, but there was something in her presence, the calm in the middle of the storm, that made him certain he was witnessing the beginning of something much larger. In the corner, Sophia pressed a button. The system connected directly to the aircraft speakers, and then a strange sound filled the cabin. Victor's voice, from minutes earlier, echoed through every speaker. "She will have to leave. She does not belong here." Then Linda's voice followed, clear and cutting. "I've always booked this seat. Someone like her must have stolen the ticket." The first-class cabin erupted. Passengers froze in shock. Then phones shot up, recording. Words once spoken in shadows now thundered in the open, undeniable. Victor staggered, his face drained of color. Rachel spun toward the cockpit, shouting into her radio. "System breach! Cut the signal now!" But it was too late. Linda's eyes went wide, her whisper panicked. This is illegal. She hacked us." A male passenger shot to his feet, pointing directly at her. "No, I heard it clearly. You bribed the manager. Don't deny it." Maya remained still. She didn't need to scream. She turned to Rachel, her voice low yet razor-sharp. "Do you still think I'm nobody?" Rachel's lips parted, but no sound came out. Ethan pressed his finger firmly on Upload. A headline flashed across his screen. "Black woman denied first-class seat on Starfly. Watch what happens next." The video began its own flight, one that would soar far beyond the sky, into the eyes of millions. In the cabin, every heartbeat raced. But for Maya, this was only the beginning. The metallic clatter of the cabin door echoed like a verdict already written. Two uniformed security officers stepped inside, their broad shoulders and cold eyes moving in lockstep. boots pounding against the carpeted floor. Rachel exhaled in relief. Linda smirked, and Victor Grant raised his hand as though reinforcements had arrived just for him. "There they are," he barked. "Escort this passenger out immediately." She refused to comply and disrupted the first-class cabin. The cabin buzzed like a shaken beehive. Several passengers raised their phones higher, recording every detail. Ethan Price was ready, his lens shifting from Victor's stiff face to Linda's sharp gaze, and finally settling on Maya Thompson, still standing tall, calm, unwavering. The officers advanced. One of them gripped Maya's arm firmly, tight enough to hurt but not brutal. The entire cabin held its breath, waiting for her reaction. Maya did not thrash or resist. She turned her face toward Victor, her eyes darkening. "You have just turned an act of discrimination into an unlawful arrest." Rachel let out a mocking laugh. "You are delusional about your power. Here we decide—" Linda chimed in, her voice dripping with triumph. "That's right. Get her out quickly. I want to enjoy my wine in peace." A sudden ding pierced the tension. The cabin speakers roared to life, but this time it was not just the earlier recording. Victor's voice blasted through the air, every word crystal clear. "Get her out. I will handle this. She is nothing here." Then came the rustle of paper, followed by Linda's whisper. "Just take it. No one will notice." The cabin erupted. Passengers turned, eyes darting between Victor and Linda. A middle-aged man shook his head, whispering, "A bribe, right in front of us." Victor's face drained of color as he gestured wildly to cut the audio. But Sofia Alvarez, monitoring from the control room, pressed another button. The words echoed once again, undeniable. "Enough!" Victor roared, his voice cracking under pressure. He turned to the guards. "Take her out now. Do not let another word broadcast." The officers nodded, pulling Maya toward the exit. She did not resist, walking with them. But just before reaching the fifth row, she turned her head, locking eyes with Ethan. "My bag!" Ethan bent quickly, retrieving a small black purse from under the seat. To his surprise, Maya gave him the slightest nod, a gesture of complete trust. In that fleeting moment, she discreetly slipped a small silver object into his palm, a thin USB stick, glinting under the cabin lights. Victor noticed, his eyes widening. "Give that back!" But Ethan was quicker, weaving through another row, his phone still recording. In his chest, a promise burned. "No, I will keep it." Maya allowed the guards to push her forward, but every step carried a weight of authority, not of defeat, as though she were orchestrating the stage itself. Linda shrieked with laughter, her voice shrill above the murmurs. "Look at her, being dragged out like a criminal. How pathetic." But then from row 3, a woman's voice rang out. "Pathetic? No. What is pathetic is all of you." The cabin erupted, some voices shouting in agreement, others in protest. A wave of outrage rippled faster than the engines themselves. Maya stopped just before the aircraft door. She lifted her chin, her voice steady and strong, carrying through the entire cabin. "You think you have erased me, but from this moment on, the entire world will see the true face of Starfly." Victor snarled. "You'll hear from our lawyers." Maya's eyes narrowed, a half smile crossing her lips. "I look forward to it." She let herself be escorted down the stairs, But inside Ethan's pocket, the silver USB had already begun its own journey, holding data capable of sinking an entire corporation. In the operations room, Sophia lifted her phone, her voice calm and precise. "The data is live. We're moving to phase 2. Online, the video Ethan had just uploaded spread like wildfire. Rachel tearing the ticket, Victor pocketing an envelope, Linda sneering, all stitched together into less than a minute. The hashtag #StarFlyScandal blazed across thousands of screens, and on the cold steel stairs, Maya descended as though walking a red carpet. With each step, the whispers behind her grew louder. A few passengers began to clap quietly, the sound growing, breaking into scattered applause. Rachel froze. Linda went pale. Victor's forehead beaded with sweat. They all began to realize this story was no longer theirs to control. The glass doors of the terminal closed behind her, but the aftershocks in the first-class cabin still trembled like a fracture that could never be sealed. Rachel stood frozen. Linda's teeth clenched so tightly her face turned pale, and sweat soaked Victor Grant's collar. None of them knew that outside, a spark had already reached a warehouse full of gasoline. Ethan Price sank into a seat near gate B12, breath ragged, fingers trembling but steady enough to plug the silver USB Maya had given him into his laptop. The screen lit up. A folder appeared. Starfly records encrypted. Zip. A password box. Ethan hesitated, then remembered when she was being dragged away. Maya had leaned close, whispering almost like a breath. Justice 21. He typed. Enter. Files exploded across the screen. Dozens of audio clips, transaction logs, internal emails, HR notes. Ethan clenched his jaw and opened the first file. Victor's voice rang out, cold and calculated. Just move that passenger to economy. Log it as a system error. Don't let them complain. Just hand them a voucher. Next file. An email from Rachel to her supervisor. Black passengers tend to cause issues. If possible, seat them near the back for easier control. Ethan's heartbeat thundered. He opened an image file, screenshots of seating allocation spreadsheets. In the appearance column were initials, W, B, A, he realized. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a system that sorted passengers by skin color, silently deciding who was upgraded and who was pushed back. He whispered under his breath, "My God, they've been doing this for years." His fingers moved quickly, selecting all the files and dragging them into the upload window. The progress bar crept forward. 12%, 35%, 67%. Ethan didn't know what door he had just opened, but he knew there was no going back. In the control room, Sofia Alvarez's eyes locked on her tablet. The red dot on her screen blinked wildly. The data stream was flowing through an encrypted channel, heading straight to 3 major news outlets: CNN, Reuters, Associated Press. Her phone buzzed. A message. Files received. Verification in progress. Sophia nodded to herself, murmuring, "The game has begun." Meanwhile, Maya walked along the glass hallway leading to the international concourse. Security guards flanked her, but they looked more like empty shadows than escorts. The eyes of passers-by followed her, no longer filled with contempt, but with confusion, curiosity, and even shame. A young girl whispered to her mother, "Why are they doing this to her?" The mother shook her head and pulled her daughter close. Maya heard it all, but she didn't look back. Her steps were slow, steady, each one like a note announcing the next movement of a symphony of power. Back at the gate, Ethan watched the progress bar hit 100%. Complete. He immediately opened Twitter, uploading his video from the cabin, Rachel tearing the ticket, Linda sliding the envelope, Victor issuing threats. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Black woman denied first-class seat on Starfly. Watch what happens next. Hashtags, #Starfly scandal, #Justice21. He hit post. Within 2 minutes, notifications exploded across his screen. Likes, shares, retweets pouring in. Next to him, a teenage girl live streaming on TikTok gasped, "Oh my God, it's the video! It's going viral!" The airport's massive departure hall screens flashed breaking news. CNN's ticker scrolled, "Passenger mistreated on Starfly flight. Viral video sparks outrage." Ethan swallowed hard, realizing he had become the keeper of the key Maya had trusted him with. Inside Starfly's operations office, Victor screamed into his radio, "Kill the feed! Take down the video! Alert legal now!" But a trembling IT worker shook his head. "Sir, it's already past 1 million views. In 12 minutes." Victor slammed the table. Rachel muttered under her breath. "We're finished." Linda bit down hard on her lip, still trying to hold her pride. "It's just a media storm. It'll blow over." But deep down, she knew. This storm would not blow over. Maya lowered herself into a seat in the waiting area, her hands resting lightly on her lap. Her phone buzzed. A message from Sophia, viral, stock down 15%, board meeting called. Maya closed her eyes briefly, exhaling. Not relief, preparation. In her mind, the voice of that teacher echoed back from years ago. "Girls like you will never make it to college." Her lips curved into a faint smile. This was no longer about college. She was making an entire corporation bow its head. From across the hall, Ethan spotted her. Their eyes met through the crowd. Maya gave a slight nod. No words, but he understood. Gratitude did not need to be spoken. Across the world, millions of viewers hammered their keyboards, their comments flooding with anger, outrage, and solidarity. And they all asked the same question. Who is this woman, really? Starfly headquarters in Manhattan had never been as chaotic as that morning. Phones rang non-stop, emails flooded with crisis alerts. Stock prices plunged on the ticker board, the red numbers spreading like blood. In the boardroom on the 40th floor, CEO Richard Dawson slammed his hand on the polished walnut table. All this because of one first-class seat, and the entire company is about to collapse. Victor Grant sat to his left, pale-faced, tie askew, sweat dripping from his forehead. Rachel Burns kept her head down, hands twisting together in her lap. Linda Rowe joined from her mansion in Florida, her face broadcast on the large screen, lipstick bright red, voice sharp as a whip. "Don't let the media control the story. Just deny it. Say the video is fake, AI generated." Board member Denise Parker leaned forward, her voice cold as steel. "Deny it?" When Mr. Grant's and Mrs. Rowe's voices were heard across the cabin, when the entire flight was recording. The air thickened, heavy as smoke. Richard glanced at his phone, flooded with breaking news alerts. Starfly accused of systemic discrimination. Bribery caught on camera at 30,000 feet. He exhaled heavily. Shares down 21.2% in less than an hour. Wall Street is laughing at us. Victor tried to push back. She staged it. She had cameras set up, someone inside helping her. This wasn't real. Denise cut him off, slamming a folder onto the table, papers scattering like startled birds. Not real. This is the email you sent. This is the seat report you signed. This is proof you took the envelope. Victor's mouth hung open, no words left. Linda gave a dry laugh through the screen. It's all a misunderstanding. I've been a loyal customer for years. I have the right to demand the best service. With a bribe? Denise shot back. You didn't just destroy this airline's reputation. You dragged us all into the mud. Across the city, Maya Thompson sat in a quiet hotel lounge, sunlight pouring through the tall glass windows. Her phone buzzed relentlessly. A message from Sophia. The board is in flames. Stock plummeting. Press demanding your name. Maya closed her eyes for a moment. Memories flickered. Nights in a cramped apartment. Coding under a flickering lamp borrowed from a neighbor. Rejection after rejection from interviews where they didn't believe a black woman could be a software engineer. Not a cultural fit. She smiled faintly. Today, those rejections had become weapons turned against those who once dismissed her. Her phone buzzed again. A CNN reporter, a Forbes editor, a lawyer in Washington. Maya muted the calls. Not yet. Back in Starfly's boardroom, Denise suddenly lifted her head, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Do any of you even know who she is? The room froze. Richard frowned. What do you mean? Denise emphasized every word. Maya Thompson, CEO of Next Wave Technologies, the company running 40% of our booking and flight operations system. The room fell silent as though the air had been sucked out. Victor's eyes widened. Rachel gasped. Linda's smirk faded for the first time. Richard sank slowly into his chair, eyes hollow. My God, we humiliated our most important partner. Denise delivered the final blow. And she has the power to shut down Starfly's entire system with a single line of code. Victor stammered. No, that's impossible, Richard growled. What about the message she sent me 10 minutes ago? 2 hours. Meet me at headquarters, or I release everything. Linda shook her head furiously. Don't listen. She's bluffing, just trying to intimidate. Denise sneered. If it's a bluff, then why do journalists already have internal chats, system logs, seat assignment codes? She doesn't just have evidence, she has the system. In her hotel suite, Maya opened her laptop. Charts filled the screen. Starfly's stock plunging. The hashtag #Starfly scandal climbing to the top globally. Another chat window blinked. Sophia's message. Data in the hands of 3 major reporters. Insurers preparing to deny coverage. The board is trembling. Maya typed a short reply. It's time. Prepare the next phase. She closed the laptop and stood. In the mirror, the reflection was no longer of the woman humiliated by a torn ticket, but of a warrior about to walk into the enemy's stronghold. In Starfly's boardroom, Richard hissed, "We will meet her. But remember, this is a fight for survival." Victor trembled. "You'll protect me, won't you?" Richard whipped his head around, eyes sharp as blades. "I'll protect no one. Whoever caused this will pay." Rachel lowered her head, her palms cold as ice. On the screen, Linda bit down on her painted lip, her arrogance melting away. They had no idea that in just minutes the boardroom doors would open, and in would walk the woman they once dismissed, now carrying the power to bring an empire to its knees. The double walnut doors of the 40th floor boardroom swung open, the sound of the hinges echoing like a gunshot, signaling the start of battle. Every eye in the room turned toward the entrance, where a woman walked in with calm authority and quiet power. Maya Thompson. Her charcoal suit fit perfectly, her hair tied neatly in a bun. She carried no briefcase, brought no security detail, only a phone in her hand, an icy gaze, and a calmness that felt like a storm already contained within her grasp. Richard Dawson, CEO of Starfly, shot to his feet, trying to reclaim his authority. "Mrs. Thompson." "Sit down," Maya cut in, her voice not loud but strong enough to silence the entire room. The air froze. Richard hesitated, then slowly lowered himself back into his chair. Denise Parker, a board member, allowed herself a faint smile, the smile of someone who knew exactly where the balance of power had shifted. On the large screen, Linda Rowe appeared from her Florida mansion, chin raised. "You have no authority to command this room." Maya turned her head, her eyes piercing through the glass of the monitor. "I have authority because I earned it, not because I bought it. And today, that authority will decide the fate of Starfly." Victor Grant cleared his throat, clinging to a shred of pride. "This is nothing but theater. Do you really think you alone can threaten an entire corporation?" Maya set a thin folder on the table. It landed so lightly it barely made a sound, but the impact was as heavy as a bomb. "This contains every piece of evidence, bribery, discrimination, falsified reports, complete with your electronic signatures, and I've already sent copies to federal regulators." Denise reached for the first page, her eyes widening. An email between Rachel and her supervisor was printed clearly. "Can we use the accidental downgrade trick on this passenger? She doesn't look first. Class standard." Rachel went pale, her voice trembling. I was only joking." "Joking?" Maya's voice cut like a blade. "Joking with people's rights and dignity?" Victor slammed the table, flailing for control. "Enough! This is fabricated. You hacked into our system." "No," Maya replied, her gaze sharp as steel. "This is my system. Every booking, every seat assignment, every internal report runs on Next Wave software, which I built. I don't need to hack. I only retrieved what was already mine." The room fell deathly silent. A raw, brutal twist. The people who once mocked the woman out of place now realized they were the ones trapped inside their own fortress. Linda's teeth ground audibly, her voice rising in panic. "No, she's bluffing. We can fight this." Maya ignored her, turning instead to Richard. "Your choice is simple. Fire Victor and Rachel today. Strip Linda of every privilege and contract, or I pull every single license for Next Wave. If I do, Starfly's booking system will collapse within 3 hours." Richard leaned forward, desperation flaring in his eyes. "You're holding us hostage." "No," Maya said slowly. I am delivering justice to the people you thought were beneath you. The weight in the room deepened. No one dared speak. Finally, Denise cleared her throat, her voice steady. She isn't bluffing. I've seen the data. If she shuts the system down, we're finished. Richard looked around. Victor avoided his eyes. Rachel trembled. Linda's arrogance dissolved on the flickering screen. He exhaled, the sound of defeat. Fine. Victor, you're fired. Rachel, you too. Linda, your special contracts are terminated effective immediately. Victor shot to his feet, his voice cracking with rage. You'll regret this. Maya met his eyes, her expression glacial. No. The one who will regret it is you. Victor stormed out, chair clattering behind him. Rachel lowered her head, tears slipping down her cheeks as she followed. Linda spat curses, but her video feed was abruptly cut. Silence pressed in, and every gaze returned to Maya. Richard sagged back into his chair, his voice hollow. What else do you want? Maya walked slowly to the whiteboard at the end of the room. With a black marker, she drew 3 bold lines. Bias audit, passenger equity council, mandatory anti-discrimination training. She turned, her voice calm but sharp as glass. This isn't just about punishment, it's about transformation. From today forward, Starfly will no longer be a place that measures human worth by skin color or by wallet. You have 2 choices, change or disappear. The silence stretched, heavy and deep. Then Denise nodded firmly. She's right. This is the only way to save Starfly. Richard's hand shook as he picked up a pen and signed the document Maya had placed before him. Maya exhaled, not with satisfaction, but with confirmation. The battle had only just begun. The air in the boardroom was taut like a string about to snap. Richard Dawson had just signed his name, his hand trembling as if every stroke of ink was a cut into his authority. Maya Thompson stood tall, her gaze unyielding. She knew that signing termination papers was only the beginning. Starfly needed more, a complete cleansing. Richard forced his voice, trying to reclaim command. You have what you wanted. What more do you demand? Maya did not answer immediately. She slowly unlocked her phone with a single tap. Instantly, the large screen at the end of the room lit up, connecting to a remote video. A woman appeared. Sleek black hair, a navy suit, eyes sharp as fire. Her voice rang out, precise and cutting. Good afternoon, Richard. I am Sarah Nguyen, CEO of SkyPulse Airlines. The room erupted in silent shock. Directors exchanged stunned glances. Richard opened his mouth, then closed it. On the side screen, Linda Rowe cried out, Impossible! How is she here? Maya's lips curved slightly. Because for over a year, Next Wave and SkyPulse have been working together to build Fair Sky, the passenger fairness monitoring platform, and today I am officially launching it. Sarah nodded, her voice clear as a blade. Fair Sky tracks the entire passenger journey, from check-in to landing. It analyzes language, behavior, and upgrade decisions. Every instance of bias is recorded and publicly reported. Airlines that join will be certified transparent. Airlines that refuse will be exposed. The boardroom froze. Some directors exchanged nervous looks, sweat beading at their temples. Richard tried to force a laugh. You're pressuring us to join a competitor's project? Maya responded instantly, her tone like steel. Not a competitor's project, a new standard. Either you join, or by tomorrow morning, Starfly's next wave system will lose its license. You won't be able to book a single ticket. Victor Grant, still by the door with his face ashen, shouted, "This is extortion!" Maya turned, her eyes flashing fire. "No, this is justice." Denise Parker spoke firmly. "Richard, we have no choice. If we refuse, shareholders will sue us by morning." Linda shouted from the screen. "No, you can't let an outsider dictate the fate of Starfly." Maya's gaze pierced straight through. "You're right about one thing, Linda. I am not an outsider. I am the technology partner that has powered this airline's backbone for years. And I am the passenger you humiliated in the very seat you thought you owned." Linda fell silent. Her arrogance collapsed in an instant. Richard looked around, his face sagging like an old castle worn away by time. He exhaled, his voice broken. "Fine. Send me the documents. Starfly will join Fair Sky." Maya nodded once, her voice calm but firm. "You just saved your company from collapse. But there is one final step." Richard lifted his head, desperation in his eyes. "What now?" Maya looked directly into the camera where Sarah Nguyen waited. "From today, every bias audit within Starfly will be published regularly, and I will appoint an independent overseer with full access to all reports." Denise nodded firmly. "I support this. It's the only way to rebuild trust." Richard groaned softly but did not object. He knew that if he refused, Maya only needed a single tap to turn their booking system into a black screen. Maya swept her gaze across the room. "Do not mistake this for concession. This is your last chance at redemption. Fail, and Starfly will cease to exist." Outside, the world was already boiling. On social media, the hashtag #FairSky exploded with comments. "This is the real airline revolution." Finally, someone stood up. "I'll only fly with airlines that join Fair Sky." Within hours, Starfly's plummeting stock stabilized, then edged upward. Investors realized the storm might actually be a chance for rebirth if they allowed Maya to lead the way. When the meeting ended, Maya walked out of the boardroom, her heels striking the marble hallway. Every step was a declaration. The woman who once had her ticket torn, once dismissed as an outsider, had now forced an Entel corporation to sit and learn a lesson on justice. Sofia Alvarez waited in the lobby, tablet in hand. She allowed herself a small smile. They signed. Maya nodded, her eyes glowing with resolve. Then from this day forward, Starfly will no longer fly on privilege. They will fly on justice. 3 weeks later, the Starfly headquarters was no longer the same. Gone were the closed, door meetings designed only to justify or conceal. In their place, large glass boards now hung in the lobby, etched with bold letters. "Bias doesn't fly. Than Kian, Kong the Cat can." The reform began with the smallest yet most powerful changes. Training. No more lifeless slide shows in cramped conference rooms. Maya Thompson brought in civil rights educators, psychologists, and community trainers. Starfly employees, from flight attendants to ticket agents to mid-level managers, had to participate in real-world scenario workshops. In one session, a young flight attendant raised her hand, her voice trembling. "But passengers can be so difficult. We have to keep polite, and sometimes it's really hard not to judge them." The instructor, an African-American woman with curly hair, smiled calmly. "Judgment is instinct, but to be professional, you must learn to rise above instinct. People may forget the meal you served them, but they will never forget how you made them feel." Maya sat quietly at the back of the room, observing without interrupting. She took notes on every reaction, every glance. When she noticed some employees frowning, she did not scold them. She knew that cultural change could not happen in a single day. In the pilot's lounge, a new training schedule covered the wall. A veteran captain shook his head, grumbling. "Another course. More wasted time." A young first officer nearby replied firmly, "If we don't change, passengers won't trust us anymore. Do you want to fly for an airline with no passengers?" The silence was heavy. Then the captain carefully smoothed out the schedule and pinned it back neatly, saying nothing more. Meanwhile, Ethan Price had been appointed the youngest director in Starfly's history, director of the Passenger Transparency Council. On the day he stepped onto the stage for a live Q&A, thousands tuned in. One viewer asked, "Why are you still with an airline that once treated Ms. Maya and so many others so badly?" Ethan looked straight into the camera, his face serious yet bright with conviction. "Because if someone like Maya Thompson believes Starfly can change, then I have no reason to doubt it. I am here to make sure the past never repeats itself." The comments poured in across the screen. "Respect. This is real young leadership. Bias doesn't fly." Sophia Alvarez, now officially Vice President of Systems Ethics, worked tirelessly. On her desk lay thick reports of seat assignments, passenger complaints, and service recordings. She tagged each case, sending them to Maya for review. One late evening, Sophia called Maya on video. "Sometimes it feels like I'm the enemy of the entire system. They hate me because I force them to be transparent." Maya smiled gently, her voice soft but heavy with meaning. "You are not the enemy. You are the mirror. When they hate you, what they really hate is the truth reflected back at them." Sophia fell silent, then nodded. The hallways of Starfly also felt different. An Asian ticket agent whispered to a colleague after a shift, "Today, when I upgraded a black passenger, no one sneered or made jokes. They just nodded." The colleague replied, "Maybe they've understood. Or at least they know they're being watched." Both chuckled softly, but in their laughter was a trace of hope. On social media, #FairSky remained a top trend. Other airlines began announcing their participation, unwilling to be left behind. SkyPulse, the rival carrier, even launched a campaign with the slogan, "Fairness is the new class of service." The press reported that Starfly had, for the first time, received the National Aviation Ethics Award. The article began, "From a scandal that nearly destroyed it, Starfly has become a model of reform." Maya read the news on her screen, her gaze calm. She did not let pride consume her. For her, this was not the destination. One afternoon, Maya passed by a training room. The door was ajar. She saw Rachel Burns, the very woman who once tore her ticket, sitting quietly in the back row, eyes red. Rachel no longer wore a flight attendant's uniform. She was simply attending as part of a reintegration program Maya had quietly launched. When Rachel looked up, her eyes met Maya's. No arrogance, only silent remorse. Maya gave a small nod, then walked away. She believed that sometimes justice also needed to open a second door. Starfly had changed, but Maya knew. The battle against prejudice never truly ends. Today it was an airline. Tomorrow it could be another industry. But at the very least from now on, every flight carrying the Starfly logo would be bound to remember one truth. Bias doesn't fly. 6 months after the scandal erupted, the name Starfly carried a different meaning. No longer was it a symbol of arrogance and discrimination. Now, it had become a living example of rebirth when justice is placed above all else. The press hailed the airline as a new beacon of the aviation industry. Business schools used Starfly as a case study in crisis management. But for Maya Thompson, such glossy headlines were never the ultimate goal. She had quietly launched a private project, away from the spotlight. Its name was simple yet powerful: Fly Equal. On an early autumn morning at Atlanta Airport, a group of high school students gathered at the boarding gate. Most of them had never flown before. Some giggled nervously. Some clutched their mother's hands, their wide eyes filled with both excitement and unease. On the electronic board, the announcement glowed. Scholarship Flight, Fly Equal Program. Maya stood at a distance in a plain overcoat. There were no reporters, no cameras, only her silently watching. These children were about to take their very first flight, fully sponsored to visit major universities. It was the very door she once longed for as a child, the door that had been slammed shut in her face many times. A 15-year-old girl with braided hair turned and asked, "Are you coming with us?" Maya leaned down, smiling gently. "No, I've already walked this road. Now it's your turn." The girl nodded, hugged her backpack, and ran off to join her friends. Maya watched, her eyes glimmering with hope. Meanwhile, Ethan Price sat in his new office as the youngest director of passenger transparency in aviation history. He was preparing his speech for an international conference. On the screen, the words stood out. Fairness is not a privilege. It must be the default. Sophia Alvarez, now Vice President of Systems Ethics, walked in with a soft smile. "Are you ready?" Ethan nodded, but deep down he knew the one who had planted this seed was Maya. He was only continuing to nurture it. Elsewhere, Linda Rowe had nearly vanished from high society. The golf club refused to renew her membership. Luxury brands excluded her from VIP lists. Online, a magazine published a headline: "The Fall of Platinum Linda." No one moved to take it down. Victor Grant now worked as an administrative clerk at a small logistics firm, his desk wedged between a photocopier and a shelf of files. Colleagues avoided his gaze, not out of fear, but out of shame for him. Rachel Burns chose a different path. After disappearing for a while, she resurfaced at a food charity station. Every day, she quietly handed out meals to the homeless. One day, Maya received a handwritten letter with no name, just a few short lines. "I was wrong. If there is still a chance to make it right, I want to try. R.B." Maya folded the letter and placed it into a file labeled Second Chance. She knew not everyone deserved forgiveness, but if someone truly repented, then justice too must know how to open a second door. Later that year, at the Global Aviation Conference, Starfly was honored with the Human Dignity and Service Award. Denise Parker accepted on behalf of the airline, but on stage she declared openly, "This honor belongs to Maya Thompson, the one who forced us to face the truth and turned humiliation into an opportunity for change." The audience rose to their feet in applause, but Maya was not there. She was at a small regional airport with her Next Wave engineers testing the new version of Fair Sky. For Maya, the spotlight mattered less than ensuring the system worked, protecting every passenger on every flight. As evening fell, Maya sat by a window, watching a plane take off. The sky stretched wide, engines roared. In that moment, she thought of the journey she had walked, from a child scorned in the classroom to a woman humiliated when her ticket was torn in front of an entire cabin, to the person who had forced an entire corporation to bow its head. She whispered softly, only to herself, "Justice is not about revenge. Justice is about moving forward." The plane carrying the FlyEqual students turned into a silver dot on the horizon. Maya stood, pulled her coat tight, and walked on. The road ahead was long, but she was ready. Because justice does not end with one flight. It is an entire journey to ensure the next generation can take off without carrying the weight of prejudice. In a world where privilege once decided who got to sit where, Maya Thompson proved one truth. Justice can change the entire sky. From a single torn ticket, an airline was forced to bow its head and start again from zero. But this story is not just about Starfly. It is a reminder for all of us. Respect is not a privilege. It is the default right of every human being. If you believe that justice should never stop, hit her. Like to spread this message. Do not forget to subscribe to join us in the stories to come. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment with just the words "Justice First" to affirm that prejudice cannot take flight, and justice will always have its rightful seat.